Welcome Classic Rock fans to another listening video. Well, it's that silly time of year once more where our thoughts turn to the great and good of the dying year. So in that spirit, I thought I'd have a look at the best box sets and best reissues of 2022. If you're new to this channel, please do click like, subscribe and check that notification bell. And check out some of the links below this video for ways you can support the sterling work done here at Classic Album Review. It's all good and it's all much appreciated. So the top 10 box sets and reissues of 2022. Do stick around to the end. I'll share with you a few disappointments in terms of what hasn't come out this year. Anyway, number 10 for me is Waiting for Columbus by Little Feat. These are complete performances from Washington DC, London, and a previously unreleased live show recorded at the Manchester City Hall on July 29th, 1977. This one definitely makes my Christmas list. I've only heard it as a collection of MP3 files so far, unless I'm hoping to obtain a physical copy at some point. This is a wonderful set that's made even better by the fact we have these complete performances. It certainly made its mark when it came out as a double vinyl set all those years ago, and even as a 2 CD set special edition which I managed to acquire, but this really is worth acquiring. What is interesting about the Manchester Free Trade Hall gig is, unlike the other two shows, none of it ever made it onto the original album. I think the original album, if I'm not mistaken, cherry-picked the performances from those shows for that record, but this is something that's completely unheard and unreleased, which, if you're a fan of this music and this record, definitely makes this a worthwhile purchase. Number 9 is Marillion's Holidays in Eden. What I like about this is the remix, the fact they've excavated this album for all that 80s goo, or 90s goo really. Of course, the original mix by Christopher Neal brought a pop sensibility to the Marillion mindset, which didn't really appeal to me, to be honest with you. I found the original sound of this record a little bit of a distraction, or feels a little bit too plasticky for my taste, but the new mix does a lot to elevate this record. Yes, it's still got some dreadful balladry, I think, with Marillion eyeing up the top 40. But nevertheless, the greatest stuff on here sounds even better, with the fact that it feels more real, I think less affected. What's interesting about this album is the band's 6th album, but it's his 2nd album, Steve Hogarth. It's the first album, of course, that had no involvement or input from Fish in terms of the material that they used, so they were starting from scratch. And this comes with the obligatory documentary, which are always good, and the band tends to rummage around in its own vaults to unearth a pretty decent live concert from somewhere. This is a great set. Number 8 is Holy Diver by Dio. This box set is fabulous. Not only do we get the original album, of course, but we get a remix. And the remix is interesting because it kind of strips away some of the production affectations that sound a little bit dated now to my ears. Holy Diver is a dark and gothic work, a kind of widescreen fantasy, if you like, with plenty of hooks, incendiary guitar, as well as some pretty thunderous vocals as well, from Dio, who would have turned 80 this year, if I'm not mistaken. As I've said, this box set is based around 2 versions of this record. Interestingly, CD1 is the 2022 remix by Joe Barresi, known for his work with bands such as Queens of the Stone Age, Tool and Slipknot. But he has utilised the original multi-tracks in order to create this new mix. What else is on this wonderful set is Disc 2 is the original album but remastered. CD3 is live, 1983, previously unreleased, and CD4 is outtakes, singles and B-sides. If you're a Dio fan, this is an absolutely fantastic set. My only hope is that Last in Line isn't indeed last in line for the same sort of treatment. Number 7 is Joni Mitchell, The Asylum Years, 1972 to 75. These are beautiful sets, lavish sets as well, with specially commissioned artwork by Joni Mitchell herself. I love the way that the attention to detail and the fact that they are very faithful to the original releases. All the gatefold sleeves are there, and very good quality as well, sort of embossed sleeves, and the discs are protected with these little inner bits as well, which we like. On this one we get the albums, of course, For the Roses, Court and Spark, the double live album Miles for Isles, and the Hissing of Summer Lawns. Hissing of Summer Lawns is a remarkable record. If you're a fan of that, do check out my Classic Album Review of that record. Each of these albums have been remastered by Bernie Grundman, and he does a fantastic job. Whereas the first box set that came out a couple of years ago saw a complete remix of the first album, overseen by Joni Mitchell herself. This box set includes some remarkable albums and serves as a perfect bridge between the sunny folk of her early stuff and to the more experimental stuff that she was about to embark upon. We certainly get a feel for that, or a foreshadowing of that with the Hissing of Summer Lawns. And we also get For the Roses, which is a much overlooked album. Tends to be eclipsed by the glare from, ironically, her most gloomy album, of course, which is Blue. And number 6 is the 50th anniversary of Neil Young's Harvest. If you're a fan of Young's mewing and navel-gazing, I think you'll enjoy this one. Many consider this to be his finest record, and features such concert staples as Heart of Gold, Needle and the Damage Done, Old Man, which is another great one of that one. This 50th anniversary comes with the original album, a disc of 3 studio outtakes from the original Harvest sessions, Bad Loneliness, Journey Through the Past, and Dance, 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 and an unreleased live BBC solo performance. This box set also comes complete with 2 DVDs. I think one of the DVDs is the aforementioned BBC concert, and the other is the film Harvest Time, unreleased 2-hour film shot during the making of this record, and previously unreleased as well. So if you're a big fan of Neil Young or a big fan of this album, it's definitely a worthwhile purchase. Number 5 is Elton John's Madman Across the Water. This, of course, gets the deluxe treatment. This is a wonderful box set, a wonderful album. Elton goes a little bit gospel on us with this one. But it also features numerous BBC outtakes and concerts and unreleased stuff, as well as a wonderful remaster of the original album. You get 4 discs on this. Disc 1, which is the original album plus bonus tracks. Disc 2, which is demos, which are definitely worth hearing. I mean, Elton's voice at this juncture was just remarkable. Disc 3 is BBC Sounds for Saturday, which includes a version of Tiny Dancer, Rotten Peaches, Razorface, Holiday Inn, Indian Sunset, Leave On, Madman Across the Water, and Goodbye. And Disc 4 is the Blu-ray, which includes the 5.1 mix of the album, plus extra audio-visual stuff, including a performance, I believe, from the Old Grey Whistle Test, transmitted December the 7th, 1971. So that's also worth checking out. Madman Across the Water, Elton John, the deluxe edition. If you're a fan, you'll love this. Number 4 is the Kinks' Muswell Hillbillies. But it's the band's 10th album, released in 1971, and marked a new chapter, I think, for this band. They'd signed a new record deal with RCA and decided to produce an album that was all about their London upbringing. The 1972 follow-up, of course, Everybody's in Showbiz, explored life on the road in America for this band, which is also included in this set. But it also includes lots of sonic goodies and swag, which I think you'll love. Essentially, the deluxe box set contains 6 LPs, count them, 4 CDs, an AV Blu-ray, 52-page book, printed band photos, Muswell map badge, and no doubt I think they should have thrown in some Ray Davies and Dave Davies knuckle dusters. This whole thing has been remastered from the newly discovered Ray Davies original master tapes. Number 3 is Blondie Against the Odds, this monolithic box set. If you're a fan of this band and you're a fan of the evolution of this band, this is a must. Not only contains all the albums remastered, but loads and loads of unreleased stuff. It actually opens with a 1974 demo of Once I Had a Love, later Heart of Glass, which is intriguing. We get a track like Puerto Rico. We can almost hear Debbie Harry trying to figure what her style was going to be. This certainly gives an idea of the sort of unearthed gems you get on this one. Plus you get a booklet that's absolutely packed with unseen pictures and unreleased pictures, and pictures that every growing lad would be delighted to own. Number 2 is Bowie's Divine Symmetry. I don't actually have a physical copy of this yet. I'm hoping to get one in January when the price comes down a bit. It's certainly on my Christmas list. But I've heard the what's on here in terms of MP3 files that I've been sent, and I think this will be an absolute delight for Bowie fans. And it certainly explores the evolution and progression of one of his finest albums, of course, Hunky Dory. I did a Bowie ranking video. I think this one got to about number 2 in my list. I think it's a wonderful, wonderful album. It's probably sacrilegious to say it, but I actually prefer Hunky Dory to Ziggy Stardust. This box set collects lots of fascinating and unreleased songs, as well as alternate mixes of Hunky Dory, all overseen, I think, by the album's co-producer Ken Scott. These little excavations is an intriguing glimpse into the metamorphosis of a classic album. You also get a Blu-ray audio disc, a 100-page hardcover book, and 60-page reproduction of a Bowie notebook from the era, which he used to document and flesh out his songs. Number 1 is the Beatles' Revolver. This set is one that I approach with some trepidation. especially after I got my fingers burnt with the remix of George Harrison's All Things Must Pass. But I like what Giles Martin does with these Beatles reissues, and I was particularly interested in the technology employed to tackle these mono mixes and recreate a new stereo mix. And as I've said before, I'm interested to know whether this technology could be applied to audience recordings, classic band audience recordings, to make them more palatable, more enjoyable. But this of course features the new mix by Giles Martin and Sam Okell, plus the original mono mix. We also get that 4-track EP, 31 session takes, home demos, a 100-page book and a foreword by Paul McCartney. What more could you want? Many people see this as the best Beatles album. I would disagree with that, but it's certainly up there, isn't it? But this is certainly the best box set of 2022. In terms of other box sets that didn't quite make my top 10 list, is the Grateful Dead's Europe, 72 shows. These are beautifully put together. I just feel like they're dreadfully overpriced for what you get, quite frankly. Pink Floyd Pulse, Pink Floyd stuff is always dreadfully overpriced, but I do like the new edit of the Pulse film. The original edit of the film felt a little bit flat to me for some reason, but the new edit I think really breathes life into it. I really love it. And to be a Christmas Grinch, I thought I'd share with you a few disappointments in terms of reissues we should have seen but didn't see this year. I'm really disappointed we didn't get a 50th anniversary of Deep Purple's Made in Japan, which came out 50 years ago this month, in fact. Now, I think a lot of those recordings have already been made available, but I would like to have seen a deluxe set with lots of swag items and a general revelling and celebration of this seminal hard rock live album. Next one is Alice Cooper's Schools Out. I would love to have seen a deluxe edition of this. Alice Cooper tends to be poorly served in terms of these deluxe editions, and we didn't get a 50th anniversary of Killer, so why am I not surprised we didn't get a 50th anniversary of Schools Out? The other one is Exile on Main Street by the Stones, one of my favourite albums of all time. Yes, you could argue there was a 40th anniversary deluxe box set of this, but hey, that was 10 years ago. There's more money to spend now, isn't there? Well, I'm pretty sure they could have done something, even if they'd included a few of the songs in their latest performance, their 60th anniversary performance, sort of marked the 50th year of that record, but we didn't get anything there either. I mean, they could have more or less rehashed what they released as the 40th anniversary box set, and throwing some extra stuff in there as well. I would like to have seen a recording of the band, just doing an acoustic set maybe of key picks from this album's songs that they had never played or haven't played since 1972. Songs like Sweet Black Angel, for example. Anyway, they're my top picks for the box sets and reissues of 2022. To what extent do you agree with me? Do share your list just below this. Anyway, it just leaves me to say I hope you're well, staying safe, looking forward to Christmas, but more importantly, of course, is that you keep listening.